As we move past the age of 50, there are changes we begin to notice in ourselves that we might not have paid much attention to in our younger years. Maybe you've had that moment where you walk into a room and forget why you're there. Or perhaps you find yourself struggling to remember someone's name even though you've known them for years. For many people over 50, these little lapses in memory can feel frustrating, even frightening, because deep down, what we all want is not just to live longer, but to live with our minds clear, sharp, and capable. I've spoken with so many people who tell me they fear memory loss more than physical decline because our brain is who we are. It's the part of us that holds our stories, our relationships, our independence. And it's a real question. Can something as simple as the foods we eat help protect that precious gift? Today, we're going to talk about a food that's often misunderstood, sometimes even avoided, but might just be one of the most powerful allies for your brain after 50, the humble egg. Now, I know what you might be thinking. For years, eggs were painted as the enemy. Too much cholesterol, too risky for the heart, something to eat sparingly, if at all. But science has shifted, and what we know today is much more nuanced, much more hopeful, and especially important for those of us who want to safeguard our memory and brain health as we age. So let's dive into the real story of eggs in the brain, and I promise you, by the end of this journey, you may never look at breakfast the same way again. First, let's address why eggs are even part of the conversation when it comes to memory. The answer lies in a remarkable nutrient called choline. Choline is something most people don't talk about because it doesn't get the fame of vitamins like C or D, but for the brain, it is absolutely essential. Choline is used by the body to produce a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, which plays a critical role in memory, learning, and overall brain communication. Think of acetylcholine as the messenger system that allows your brain cells to talk to each other, to store memories, to recall information. Without enough choline, this communication system starts to falter. The problem is, as we get older, our need for choline remains high, but most people aren't getting nearly enough from their diets. Studies show that over 90% of Americans are deficient in choline, and that's a staggering number when you consider how important it is for the brain. This is where eggs come in, because a single egg yolk contains about 150 milligrams of choline, making it one of the richest natural sources available. For men and women over 50, when the risk of cognitive decline begins to increase, this nutrient becomes even more valuable. I've met people who were genuinely surprised when they learned this because they've been avoiding egg yolks for decades, believing they were unhealthy. And that's part of the tragedy of nutrition myths. Sometimes we avoid the very foods that could help us most. But choline is only one piece of the puzzle. Eggs are also a source of high quality protein, which supports overall energy and muscle health. But when it comes to the brain, the real magic lies in two antioxidants found in egg yolks, lutein and zeaxanthin. These compounds are often associated with eye health, but research has shown they also accumulate in the brain, particularly in regions linked to memory and processing speed. Scientists have discovered that higher levels of lutein and zeaxanthin in the brain correlate with better cognitive performance, sharper thinking, and slower decline. Isn't that fascinating? Something as ordinary as an egg yolk carries compounds that physically build up in your brain, offering protection. And here's the kicker. These antioxidants are fat soluble, which means they're best absorbed when consumed with healthy fats, something eggs naturally provide. It's almost as if nature designed them to be brain food. Now let's take a moment to think about the broader picture. What does this mean for someone over 50? Maybe even you. Imagine starting your day with an egg-based breakfast. You're not just satisfying hunger. You're fueling your brain with choline to boost memory, with lutein and zeaxanthin to support long-term cognitive health, and with protein to stabilize blood sugar, which also plays a role in preventing brain fog. It's simple, it's affordable, and it's accessible. But I don't want to romanticize this too much without addressing the concerns that many people still hold. The elephant in the room is cholesterol. For decades, dietary guidelines warned us about eggs, saying they were dangerous for heart health because of their cholesterol content. And yes, it's true that one egg contains around 186 milligrams of cholesterol. But here's what we now understand. For most people, dietary cholesterol does not translate directly into higher blood cholesterol levels. In fact, The liver produces cholesterol every day, and when we consume it through food, the body naturally adjusts by producing less. Large, well-designed studies in recent years have found that moderate egg consumption, about one egg a day, is not associated with increased risk of heart disease for healthy adults. For some people, particularly those with genetic conditions like familial hypercholesterolemia, caution may still be needed. But for the majority of us, eggs can fit into a healthy, balanced diet without raising cardiovascular risk. And this is important because it means we don't have to choose between protecting our heart and protecting our brain. We can have both. Now, let's get personal for a moment. I can tell you from my own experience that food choices matter more and more as the years go by. When I was younger, skipping meals or grabbing processed foods didn't seem to make much difference. But after 50, I started noticing that what I ate directly impacted my energy, my focus, even my mood. When I introduced more eggs into my routine, I realized mornings felt different. I wasn't just full, I was clearer, more ready to tackle the day. And I'm not alone in this. Many people I've spoken with share similar stories. They thought eggs were off limits, but once they brought them back, they noticed subtle but meaningful improvements in how sharp and alert they felt. That's not to say eggs are a magic pill. They are not. Brain health is never about one single food. It's about the overall pattern: regular exercise, staying socially engaged, challenging the mind, managing stress, and yes, eating nutrient-rich foods. But eggs can absolutely be one of those building blocks in a larger strategy for aging well. If you're listening to this and you've ever wondered whether memory lapses you've noticed are just normal aging or if there's something you can do about it, let me encourage you with this. The brain has an incredible ability to adapt, to grow new connections, to remain resilient well into later life. It's called neuroplasticity, and it means that the choices you make, even now, can have a profound impact. Food is one of those choices, and eggs are a practical, simple way to support that process. So how can you make the most of them? Well, balance is key. I'm not suggesting you eat half a dozen eggs every day, but including 1 or 2 eggs a few times a week as part of a varied diet can give you meaningful amounts of choline, antioxidants, and protein. Try them boiled, scrambled, or in a vegetable-packed omelet. Pair them with leafy greens like spinach for an extra dose of brain-loving nutrients. And remember, it's not just about the egg itself, it's about the context of your diet. If you're eating eggs alongside whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and healthy fats, you're creating an environment where your brain can thrive. Now, let me pause here and ask you, have you personally noticed changes in your memory or focus after 50? Do you feel like your diet plays a role in how sharp you feel? If so, I'd love for you to share your experiences in the comments below, because when we talk openly about these things, we not only learn from each other, but also remind ourselves that we're not alone in this journey. And if you find this discussion helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss future insights into healthy aging. Here's something else worth mentioning. Eggs aren't just about preventing decline, they may also help with mood. Choline plays a role in regulating mood-related neurotransmitters, and the balance of protein and fats in eggs can help keep blood sugar stable, which reduces irritability and that mid-morning crash. For people over 50, mood stability is every bit as important as memory, because feeling positive and emotionally resilient makes it easier to stay engaged with life, to pursue passions, to maintain social connections, all of which feed back into brain health. I often think about brain health like a garden. The brain is the soil, full of potential, but what we plant and how we nurture it determines what grows. If we plant neglect, if we allow nutrient gaps, stress, and isolation, the soil weakens. But if we plant care, nutritious foods like eggs, movement, learning, connection, then what grows is vitality, sharpness, and the ability to flourish even in later years. And isn't that what we all want? Not just years of life, but life in our years. The egg, simple as it is, can be part of that nurturing process. Some people ask me, isn't it too late to make changes after 50? And my answer is always, absolutely not. The body and brain are remarkably adaptable. Every positive step counts, no matter when you take it. If adding eggs to your diet seems like a small step, don't underestimate its impact. Over time, small choices accumulate into big outcomes. So let me leave you with this thought. Every meal you eat is an opportunity to feed not just your body, but your mind, your memory, your future self. The choice to embrace foods that support brain health is a way of saying, I'm investing in myself, in my clarity, in my independence. And isn't that a powerful statement? My encouragement to you today is simple. Don't let fear or old myths stop you from embracing foods that can help you thrive. Eggs, when enjoyed as part of a balanced, thoughtful diet, can be one of those allies on your journey. So the next time you crack an egg, remember, you're not just making breakfast, you're giving your brain a gift, a tool to keep telling your story with clarity and strength for years to come. And if this resonates with you, I'd love for you to share this video with someone you care about, someone who might also be wondering how to protect their memory as they age. Because when we spread knowledge, we spread hope. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Keep making those choices that support your health, your brain, and your life. And remember, the story of your future is still being written. Let's make it as vibrant, as sharp, and as full of life as it can be.